Welcome to Millennial Milkshake, the podcast where three creepazoids revisit, re-experience, and review things from our childhood. My name is Colin O'Connell, and I was born in 1994.
And my name's Joshua Sicali. I was born in 1995.
My name is Michelle Potter. I was born in 1997.
And today we are going to, the 6th grade classroom, I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to be discussing the absolute classic novel. I think it was, New York Times bestseller. It's taught in every classroom, up there with the Hemingway, the Fitzgerald, the James Joyce, the Virginia Woolf, all of that. My Teacher is an Alien by Bruce Covill. Guys.
So let's be honest, what isn't a New York Times bestseller?
I don't think My Teacher is an Alien was a New York Times bestseller.
I feel like at maybe some point it might have been. I feel like I've seen it on every single book. #1 bestseller. That's something I think I should bring up. I feel like every single book is a New York Times bestseller.
What even qualifies you as a New York Times bestselling author? Do they take a vote? Is it just someone that works at the New York Times thinks it's a great book? Like, how many people,
So I actually do know the process. What they do is they all of the editors of the New York Times, they go into a room and they discuss it, and then they send out puffs of smoke when they have decided what the next bestseller is.
Okay.
I think it's like gray smoke when they haven't decided, red smoke when they have decided. So it's a real, it's the real process.
Oh.
But I would be shocked if this book was a New York Times bestseller, because I don't think anyone has heard of it.
Yeah, so I've never read this, nor did I really hear of it, I don't think, when I was younger.
Yeah, I hadn't read it previously. Also had never heard of it.
Yeah, so I'm the only one who I guess read this and heard of it. I think I read, I want to say like 3rd or 4th grade, maybe I read this book. Definitely could not have read it in middle school because, this, let's just say the prose of this novel is, it's something else. It's not really, well, we can get into it a little bit, but, I guess since I'm the only one with a personal history, with this book, it's just something I remember reading once. And as I was reading it again, I remembered how it ended, but I didn't remember anything else about it. So it was kind of interesting to go back and re-experience it, I guess. You know what I mean? You know,
the ending's
how this is like the premise of the show?
The ending's the best part of the book. We'll get into that later, I guess.
It is pretty good. Was it like just something you read, or was one of your favorite books like at one point, or you don't remember?
I read it once.
Oh.
So.
Okay.
Definitely. But it's stuck in my mind, so I guess it, kind of stuck with me a little bit at least.
Mm-hmm.
Did it scare you when you were younger?
No, it couldn't have. There's no way that this book scares anyone, except for how poorly it's written. That's what scares me about this. I can't imagine, like, in all seriousness, anyone taking this book with an ounce of seriousness, even for an elementary school kid. It's just so out there and weird and ridiculous, and I don't know. I guess I'm kind of letting my opinions of it bleed through, but
that's fine. Yeah. Let it out.
I mean, it's not a good book. Let's just say what it is. It's not good. Even for a kid's book, it's not great.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you read this as a kid, like, were you also reading things like Goosebumps and stuff like that? Like those types of books?
I read Banuncula. Does that count?
I don't know what that is.
That was...
I don't either.
It's another book. It's another horror book, I think. It's about like a vampire bunny. I think we'll probably cover it, hopefully at some point. But the way that my reading, the way that I chose books, like when we went to the library or like the Scholastic Book Fair, I would always pick out the same types of books. So when it was the library, there was a book about the home run race between Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa that I would get every time I went to the library. I wouldn't get anything else. So much so that the teacher told my mom during like a parent student conference, he needs to start reading other books, because I would just get that book over and over again. And then there was a Star Wars book I would check out the novelizations of the Star Wars movies. So like A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back and all that. And then there was like another, like an Obi-Wan Qui-Gon book that I like a prequel book that I read. But that was kind of like second grade, like second grade. By the time I got into third and fourth grade, I feel like I was reading more like real books, like Holes. You guys read Holes?
Love Holes.
Wait.
Yeah, that's like a real book.
Yeah.
Is this like, wait, what's Holes about? Is it the Holes I'm thinking of? Because I've never read Holes. I've just watched Holes.
No, yeah.
Yeah. Holes, yeah. The movie is based off of it, yeah.
Oh, wait, that was a book?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No way. Oh. What's better?
Yeah.
I don't really remember like the differences in the book, but I remember the movie well because I watched it a lot.
So that's a good question. Do you guys generally like the books better than the movie?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the book is... I feel like the book is normally better just because there's a lot more detail. But I can't really think of how many book to movie adaptations that I've actually read the book. Like, I can't think of many times where I've actually read the book for like the movie. You know what I mean? Like, I read the Harry Potter books and then saw the movies, obviously, and I read The Hobbit and I saw the Hobbit movies, which were trash. So for the most part, I feel like the books are better, but I can't think of too many examples where I read the book when there was a movie involved. Like, I didn't read The Godfather, but
So like I don't know. All right, so I'm it's weird for me. I mean, it's always hard for me to say the movie is better than the book, but it's also hard for me to like say the book is, unless it's like actually like it's not even a if the movie's a piece of trash and the book is like really good. Mm-hmm. But like if the movie's really, really great, I don't know how to like compare it to the book, because with movies you have so many more elements that make it. Like with the book, it's just the story. It's I mean it's a lot more, but like think about all the components that go into make a movie. So if you make a movie great, you have performances, you have music that goes into it that's not in the book. So like shouldn't that ever be a factor in comparing the book to the movie, or are you just comparing stories?
Yeah, I mean, movies they really are two different, just even like in their inceptions, different art forms, because movies are so collaborative and books inherently aren't. Like, you might have the author and then a couple of editors, even, max for a book, but otherwise the book is usually so isolated and like the one person's thoughts. Where you're right, with movies, there's just, an actor brings something to it, the costume, every element of production brings something new into a movie. I don't know if I would go so far to say that books only have the story, because as we can get into with this, the way that you write something, like, you can have a decent framework for a story, and the way that you execute it and the way that you write your prose can really make or break it. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely not all story. Like a lot of work obviously goes into like your development of your characters, that like how they talk. It's a lot of that stuff too. But yeah, I don't know. I always feel wrong saying the movie's better, but I can't help but sometimes feel the movie's better, just because I'm thinking of all the other things that went into making it. Like, I mean, I haven't read The Godfather, but we all know how great The Godfather is as a movie. What do you think would be better between those? That would be a good question.
I don't know, because the Godfather book is, again, New York Times bestseller. I'm pretty sure. I think it is like considered a classic novel. But to your point, though, Josh, there is no Godfather 2 book. Like, the story of Godfather Part 2 is, I think Mario Puzo made the story for it, but that's not like, there's no book for the Godfather Part 2. And so that's a masterpiece as well, and that doesn't even have anything,
Well, I imagine that
I
imagine that the Godfather book probably is Godfather 1 and 2 probably together, and then they just did their own thing with the third one.
I don't think it is. I think there's like tidbits that they take from, but I think the Godfather book is pretty much it obviously has to be more, even though it's a long movie, but I don't think there's many elements of the Godfather 2 that comes from the book.
Are you a Godfather 1 or 2 man? And Michelle, are you a Godfather 1 or 2 woman?
I just recently watched both of them over, and it's so tough. But okay, I think the second one is a better movie, but I think I like the first one more.
I watched The Godfather so much growing up, which kind of sounds weird, but it's like one of those R-rated movies where it's like the subject material is serious, but it's not like, there's tons of blood and gore and swearing and sex. Like, it's, a very mature movie. So I've seen that so many times, and that was, that probably was my favorite one for a long time, but The Godfather Part 2, the more I've kind of watched it and gotten into it, and I don't know. Hyman Roth is such an interesting character to me, and I love that performance and the whole dynamic between Michael and Fredo. It's hard for me to say. I actually think I agree with Michelle. I think The Godfather Part 2 is a better movie, and it trims a lot of the fat. Like, there are some performances in Godfather 1 where it's like, they kind of feel dated. I don't know. I just spoke a lot to say that I don't know which one I like more.
So, honestly, I have to rewatch them. It's been a long time since I've actually seen 1 and 2 together. And I haven't seen it until I was like 18. I've never seen it growing up. But so from what I remember, I actually feel like I'm the the opposite of Michelle. I think the first one is slightly better, but I think I liked the second one more. And that might have been because of Robert De Niro also being an addition to that, because he's fantastic in that role.
He's so good. I think Pacino's better in the second one too.
Yeah. Like, the performances overall are better in the second one, but I from what I remember, I feel like I always thought the first one was slightly better. Don't remember why, really, to be honest.
The first one's narrative is just, so traditional, and the second one has the flashbacks to Vito's backstory and everything, and that was kind of, for its time at least. You know what? For not being based off of the book, the Godfather Part 2 kind of feels more like it would be based off of a book, with all of the flashback sequences that that's a frequent thing in a lot of novels, where you flashback to another character's point of view and stuff. I don't know.
I will say this, though.
The answer, though, is The Godfather Part 3 is the best Godfather movie.
Well, no, yeah, I wasn't even putting that in the mix because that was just too obvious. That was...
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, guys, and I'm just I'm holding off.
Masterpiece.
When I'm in the mood for a really good movie, I'll watch it.
Yeah, you won't be disappointed.
So not that these two films are related, but just because of how highly they're regarded, what do you guys think? Godfather or Godfather Part 2, whichever one you want to pick of the better ones, or Schindler's List? No, they're not related, but
I actually
I'm a
haven't
Godfather guy all the way.
seen Schindler's List.
Okay, all right. Let's cut tonight short. Michelle, go watch Schindler's List, and we can come back to this.
I watched Schindler's List once. I will never watch it again. Can't handle it again.
Yeah.
I can watch The Godfather over and over again.
Really?
And I know.
So, I can't watch Schindler's List again.
Like, I know that
Absolutely not.
Schindler's List is one of those movies that's going to be phenomenal, but, like, you can't really watch it again. And I'm just, like, you have to be in a certain mindset to watch that.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just a sick bastard. I don't know. But there's
Maybe.
The reason I can like, not that I watch it like every week. I'm making it myself sound like I watch Schindler's List every few days. But when I watch it, because Ray Fiennes, that's one of my favorite performances.
Mm-hmm.
He's
great.
He's the reason I will watch that film.
Yeah.
Obviously, Godfather's more entertaining, but I will pick Schindler's List as the better film. And this episode kind of really went away from My Teacher's an Alien to Film 101.
Because we don't want to talk about it, I think. Well, let's circle back a little bit. Let's get back to My Teacher's an Alien. Mm-hmm. Do we have any history on this book at all?
So there's not a lot of information on this book because, you know, it didn't really take the world by storm.
Well, you know what we can do? Instead of maybe going into history, I think because it's kind of so obscure, maybe we can just kind of talk about the plot of the movie, of the book. And if you care and you feel like you're going to get spoiled, I guess fuck off, because you're not going to go out and read this book. So let's just kind of talk about what the story, what the concept, what the plot details of this book is. So Michelle, how do we open up? What's our opening for this masterpiece?
So the masterpiece opens with, "Hey, geekoid." And right there,
First,
you know you're in for a treat.
it's the first line of the book is "Hey, geekoid." Mm-hmm. It's a line of dialogue by Susan Simmons. Is her name?
Yeah, Susan Simmons.
Or no. It's Douglas Dougal who says it first.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, we've got...
Is it Duncan or... Duncan.
Oh, Duncan, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Duncan Dougal, Susan Simmons, and then Peter...
Thomas.
I don't know.
Peter Thomas.
Thomas? Ugh, what a dumb name.
Like, going into this book, the title, I really thought it was going to be like a typical kids book where they think something strange is happening, but it turns out there's a normal explanation for it. That's not what this book is at all.
No, the teacher straight up is an alien.
The teacher is straight up an alien.
Right.
Which is hilarious.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy that, because I can see what you mean, like the Black Lagoon. I don't know if you guys read that, like the Black Lagoon series.
Yeah, I think I
were,
did.
Like shorter books, like they weren't like real chapter books, but they were like shorter books. But that's kind of like how those books go, right? It's the lunch lady is a monster, but really at the end she's, nice. This is the alien comes to Earth, goes to a 6th grade classroom for some reason, and is deciding to kidnap it's the best student, the worst student, and the 3 most average students.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, for some reason. And Susan Simmons, what is she? A hero? No. The most annoying little girl in the world is our protagonist and narrator.
Yeah. With her piccolo.
Throughout this entire ordeal. Ugh.
Do we like the piccolo?
Piccolo in hand. No.
I don't even know what a piccolo is. I gotta be honest. Is it some sort of flute?
Yeah, it's like a flute, I think, but it has that like straw sort of thing that you like blow into. Do you know what I'm talking about? No. It's an instrument.
No. Yeah, I picked up on that it was an instrument.
You both don't know what it is?
Well, a piccolo, a little bit.
I'll look it up right now.
Not the straw.
It's got like, maybe I'm wrong. Let me look up a picture. But it had like, instead of like the wide flute mouth, it's got a little like smaller thing.
The only Piccolo I know is from Dragon Ball Z, guys. So I pictured her picking up Piccolo from Dragon Ball Z and playing him every time. Every time he brought it up.
Oh my god.
I don't even think Dragon Ball Z was a thing, because this book came out in, I think, 89. I think I saw. It was published in 1989, so Dragon Ball Z might not have even been a thing. But this book would have been way better if at the end Peter and Brock's home had a massive Dragon Ball Super Saiyan fight. You know, that would have been a lot better than playing the instruments.
Yeah, like some sort of fight scene. Yeah.
I guess that's my issue, is this book really takes its time with the music reveal. Like, normally you get like a moment before then where like the music plays and like the monster would like react to it, but instead it's just she picks up her piccolo, and as she's leaving the classroom for music lessons, the teacher shudders. And then she goes to his house, and he plays like weird noises that she just assumes is music for some reason. And then at the end, they're just like, "Oh, let's play music to kick his ass," and that's it.
Yeah.
I have a question about the middle end when he pulls her after class, and he's talking to her, and he says what he's doing, and then he ends it with and please don't come into my house anymore. Okay, so he knows that she was in his house. So he just saw it happen and he just allowed it to, because they like left like with no, like they never got caught, but he reveals that he knew the whole time. So why didn't you do something then, or did you? I don't know. That was just a weird part to me.
It's never revealed how he knows either.
No, it's not. It's just, I don't know. Maybe they just didn't know. They were lazy. I don't know.
I actually...
calling you out, Bruce Covill. You lazy son of a bitch.
I actually, maybe he wanted to get caught, because there are 3 more books in this series. And I was reading, a little bit about the rest of the books. And I think, at the end of the series, the alien teacher, Brock's home is his name, right?
Brock's home.
Mr. Smith.
Brock's
home.
Because
Smith, yeah.
Mr.
Smith. I think he turns out to be a good alien. He's a good guy.
They didn't make it seem like he was doing anything evil. Didn't they kind of make it seem like he was just bringing them back just to study them a little bit, then probably bring them back home.
Yeah, Peter. Peter never made it. He was never afraid.
That son of a bitch wanted to go to space.
That son of a spoiler alert. He goes to space with.
He willingly
Mr.
gets
Smith.
kidnapped because his home life is tough.
Terrible. Man, I felt for Peter. He went through a lot.
Yeah, at least they gave me a little surprise
stuff
at the end. I was like, okay, at least you did something I wasn't expecting. That's cool. Good for Peter. I'm glad he's happy.
Yeah, but okay, let's just. She's Susan, our main character, beloved main character, keeps bringing up the fact that Peter reads these crazy science fiction novels, and it's not like anything in his science fiction books. And it's like, how do you know? This is the first time anyone's encountered an alien. You don't know what it's like and what it's not like. Stop being so judgmental. This kid's just my home life sucks. It's time to peace out of here. Don't judge.
Yeah, Susan was definitely very mean to Peter in the beginning. I think she came around a little near the end, but...
She calls him her best friend and then is like, why did I even say that? And it's shut up.
I don't know. How does everyone feel about the alien design? What is it? They're green with orange eyes?
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they really go into detail about how he pulls off his face, which, by the way, we get told is a very handsome face time and time again throughout this book. Everyone wants to fuck this alien.
They do mention it, like, weirdly a lot.
All right, how would you guys design your alien?
Ooh.
That's a good question. I always like to ask how people picture their aliens. Okay, no, scratch that. I don't always ask that, just so we can understand that.
Josh is really into aliens.
Yeah, that's my first question when I meet someone. How do you picture an alien?
Right.
How I picture my aliens is giant boobs. Does that count?
Just like a giant set, like flying around, or like
No, attached to like a super hot alien. Like that's how I picture all of my aliens are really hot.
So I'm sorry to say, I'm gathering a little dude. Where's my car? Has anyone seen it?
Yeah,
Because I really don't want to be the only one that saw it.
That movie sucks.
That's one of the worst movies I've seen. Oh man.
Yeah, but in my mind, all of aliens have huge boobs, and then the guys have giant dongs, and everyone's hot. Everyone looks like Chris Evans and Scarlett Johansson.
Oh, okay.
That's how I picture my aliens.
Now, is that what they actually are, or is that just like, are they something underneath that skin?
That's how I want them to be.
Oh, all right.
No, if I'm being serious, you know what? I kind of go to there's this race in Star Wars that I can't. I'll look it up. That I feel like is classic. Like when I think of Alien, like it's classic quintessential Alien.
Are they bald? Like aliens you're picturing in your head?
No, I don't know. Let me see. You guys can.
I like a nice bald alien.
Discuss.
Yeah, I jump to a lot of different things. I guess like the classic Alien, but also like the aliens from Signs.
Yeah, that's great.
Comes to my mind. Yeah, one of my favorites.
I want to talk about Signs for a second, but I guess we don't have to.
I watched that movie so much.
The Star Wars race that I'm thinking of are the Gran, and I'll show them to you guys. But this is like what I think of like classic Alien, like especially Star Wars. If you guys can see, there's that face, like the three eyes and the.
Gotcha.
Like to me, those are like. I think aliens have to have, a good alien has to be distinct enough from a human, but also have like like features that we can relate to. Like in Arrival, we don't like the smoke. What are they, like smoky things, right? Kind of, or is that just how they communicate? I don't know.
No, that's just how they communicate. They're like giant, long creatures. They're huge. They're not like, they don't look like people at all.
Yeah, so I have a hard time relating to that. You know, like that's probably like more realistic.
They look like a big like sea creature of some kind.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Which I kind of like, just because as much as like it's not my idea of an alien, I get kind of tired of like the obvious like choice for an alien. So it's a nice little change. Although my alien is gonna be gray, of course. Gray and bald. You gotta have somewhat bigger black eyes. That's really it. And no body parts. Well, okay, no additional body parts. Just limbs.
Like, do they have a torso?
Yeah. I mean, like no, like they're just blank. They're very blank.
Gotcha. As I'm looking at the Arrival aliens now, they just look like Lovecraft monsters.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of it, and which I guess is an alien. So I guess I'm wrong. But also, H.P. Lovecraft was a famous racist. So who's really the wrong one here? Well, speaking of H.P. Lovecraft, he doesn't have anything to do with this, but guys, I didn't get any Apple facts this week.
That's okay. Did you cook something else up for us?
I cooked a little something else up. We're gonna play a little bit of a game. Maybe there will be music inserted here, or there will just be silence. I don't know. It depends on what we decide.
Yes.
I hope it's silence.
We're going to do a new segment called Colin's Literary Corner. And what this is you're going to play a little bit of a game. But it's going to be between Michelle and Josh. the only other two people on the podcast. And what's going to happen is I'm going to read either a quote from a classic literary piece of fiction or a quote from My Teacher is an Alien. And you guys have to guess which is which.
Okay.
How do we want to buzz in? What do you guys want to say to buzz in?
Boop. No. Does boop suck?
We could say geekoid.
Geekoid. All right.
So I'm going to read 5 quotes. You guys have to wait until I finish the quote. All right. And then you can buzz in. I will decide who buzzes in. And then if it's from My Teacher is an Alien, you get 1 point. And if it's from something else, you get 1 point. But if it's from something else, you get a chance to guess the piece of fiction, of classic literary fiction, to get an extra point.
And if you get it wrong, do you get a negative point?
If you get it wrong, you leave the podcast because it should be really easy to tell which is which.
That's absolutely fair.
No, if you get it wrong, it's just the other person gets a chance to answer, which I guess they're going to get it because the only other option would be there's only 2 options for the for the game.
Yeah, okay, so if you get it wrong, the other person just gets the point. How's that?
Sure. All right, so here we go. I'm going to read the first quote. There will be 5 quotes. All right. Some of them are longer than others. So here comes the first one coming at you. It is a law of nature we overlook that intellectual versatility is the compensation for change, danger, and trouble. An animal perfectly in harmony with its environment is a perfect mechanism. Nature never appeals to intelligence unless habit and instinct are useless. There is no intelligence where there is no change and no need of change.
Geekoid.
Michelle, is that from a classic literary piece of fiction or from My Teacher is an Alien?
I wasn't sure at first, but I think I'm going to go classic piece of literature on this one.
Unbelievable. She's got it right. First go.
Wow. I honestly would have said My Teacher's an Alien.
Listen, it's hard sometimes to tell. All right, so I've got...
Do I guess?
Michelle, you get a chance to guess what that piece of fiction, that quote is from.
Is it Charles Darwin?
Nope. Charles Darwin famously did not write fiction. Famously non-fiction author.
I'm so
Scientist.
sorry. You said fiction. I wasn't paying close enough attention. Yes.
And also you have to guess the book.
Okay.
Or the piece of fiction.
Can I try again?
No, Josh gets a chance to guess now.
Rats.
Ooh, sweet. All right. I'm trying to remember the quote, but it was pretty long, so I don't want to have you reread it. I think I'm going to go Silence of the Lambs.
No, it was H.G. Wells from The Time Machine.
Damn it.
I should note that because My Teacher's an Alien is like a science fiction book, all of these quotes are from science fiction novels or short stories or whatever, pieces of fiction. All right, ready for number 2? Josh, you got to be quicker on the draw. Michelle is up 1-0.
I would have just embarrassed myself on that last one.
Yeah. All right, next quote. Maybe the handsome creep had tricked her into going out on a date with him. What a treat. A date with an alien. I could just imagine his line. Let's go see a film, then I'll take you back to my house and lock you in a force field.
Geekoid.
Oh, shit.
Josh?
That is going to be a literary piece of My Teacher is an Alien.
Ooh, got it correct. What a fake out. Absolutely. That is a line from Susan Simmons talking about her teacher, Mrs. Schwartz, who has been
MIA.
tricked. Yeah, she's MIA, and she's like, oh, she's a woman. Clearly, he kidnapped her by asking her on a date because this book is horribly, horribly sexist.
Yikes. Yeah, just a little bit.
All right. We'll get into that. All right, next quote. Quote number 3. Get ready. Here we go. History has stopped. Nothing exists except an endless present in which the party is always right.
Keep going.
Michelle?
I'm going to go classic literature.
Yes, correct. Unbelievable. How could you tell? How could you tell?
I think I would have said My Teacher's an Alien.
I also did think about that one for a second.
All right. Now, this one is probably the best shot you'll get for guessing the piece of fiction. So make it a good guess.
Is it A Wrinkle in Time?
No.
Rats.
Josh, you have a chance to steal the bonus point.
Do I get to hear the quote again?
Absolutely. There are no rules. Here we go. History has stopped. Nothing exists except an endless present in which the party is always right.
Oh wait, these are all like science fiction, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know many. I'll be honest.
Maybe the most famous science fiction novel that I can think of.
I don't know. Now I just feel even more dumb. I'm gonna pass. I don't even want to guess.
Pass. Pass is not the correct answer. It is 1984, the classic novel by George Orwell.
Son of a bitch. I just read it too. I read it.
I knew you were reading that book too. Wow.
Okay, you know what? I thought you were choosing like alien related science fiction.
Yeah, I was also thinking like more towards like I don't know, like Dune or something.
Well, maybe you have a preconceived notion about what science fiction is, and you guys should broaden your horizon.
Good. I hope Clockwork Orange
right.
is one of the quotes.
Well, we'll just have to see. Here comes the next quote. Michelle is up 2-1. It's really anyone's game. Here we go. Learn from me, if not by my precepts, at least by my example, how dangerous is the acquirement of knowledge, and how much happier that man is who believes his native town to be his world, than he who aspires to become greater than his nature will allow.
Geekoid.
Josh.
I'm definitely going with My Teacher's an Alien.
Ooh, so close.
That's wrong, isn't it?
But it is wrong.
I thought you were really throwing me off. I thought you were giving me like a pretty good quote. Like,
yeah.
That's okay. That's all right.
All right. Michelle, you have the chance to steal. Oh, wait. Josh is off the podcast. I just realized.
Josh.
No, Michelle, you can get a point if you can guess what the novel is.
I know it.
Can you say the quote again?
Yes. Learn from me, if not by my precepts, at least by my example, how dangerous is the acquirement of knowledge, and how much happier that man is who believes his native town to be his world, than he who aspires to become greater than his nature will allow.
Is it The Giver?
No.
Damn.
Josh, what is it? You don't get points, but you can say it if you know it.
I don't know it. I have a guess. Is it Who Goes There?
Go ahead. No.
Darn it.
It's Mary Shelley, Frankenstein.
Ooh.
Nobody gets a point.
That's nice. I feel stupid.
Me too.
I mean, have either of you read Frankenstein, though?
Yes.
Yeah, a long time ago.
You read it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Huh. I feel like everyone's seen the movies, but I don't know.
I read it like back in high school though.
Yeah, I think I read it like a while ago also.
It's really short, so like I just picked it up one time.
Yeah. Yeah. The Time Machine, which is the first quote, that's like I think it's a novella, so it's like 40 pages or something. It's crazy, like real short.
So doesn't like Broxholm go into like a monologue where he somewhat says like not like that, but like doesn't he say something about man or like humans? I don't know. I can't remember.
Oh, I don't remember that either.
I don't remember that either, but
maybe you read a better book and you're confusing the two.
Yeah.
Very possible.
All right, we got one more quote, guys. I'm glad I'm a girl, because when I get older, the guys are going to have to come up with the lines when they want to start a conversation. Now, there's one job I'll be glad to let them have.
Geekoid.
Ooh, it was a tie. What do we do?
Is that The Handmaid's Tale? No, I'm kidding.
All right, Josh, your turn to guess.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead, Josh.
Wait, this isn't My Teacher's an Alien?
Is that your guess?
It is.
Okay, yeah, that was my guess.
It is.
Yes, you're correct. We are now out of questions, out of quotes, and we are tied 2-2. We accomplished nothing.
I'll be honest, I almost lost that game because the way Michelle said it, I thought she was so like certain it wasn't My Teacher's an Alien.
No, I was kidding. Can you imagine that line was in The Handmaid's Tale?
Oh, well, I didn't really Michelle actually won. She gave me that tie.
I mean,
She just didn't want me to lose.
Well, the official scoreboard says 2-2, so
we're both winners, Josh.
virtually shake hands. Good job.
Good game, Cherry.
Good game. Good game, whipped cream.
So, I guess we should get into our official reviews and thoughts about this. Who wants to start?
You can start, Milk Base.
Okay. I will start and say that this book was such a disappointment to read for me personally. The amount of lines, the amount of sentences that end in exclamation points made me want to die inside. She's constantly shouting. Like the prose is just so I mean, okay. The concept for the novel is really cool. Teacher is an alien. You have this mystery that unfolds along the way. You have, the nerdy kid teams up with the popular-ish girl, and the bully kind of gets involved. That's all fine. But the execution of it's so painful to read, even for a kid's book. Like, it seems so pandering and so like, I can't imagine a 6th grader reading this and being like, wow, that's some grade A book reading I just did. And also, I mean, it's so terribly cliched and not in like a fun way, in just a really boring way. But also, there's just some weird sexist bullshit going on in this book, and it's so noticeable. Like, we just read the quote where she's like, when I get older, boys will talk to me. And it's like, and then like a chapter later, Peter's talking about the teacher being frozen in the force field, right? And how it's like time doesn't move. And he's like, that's like a woman's best friend or best dream. And then Susan has the gall to say, don't be a chauvinist little piglet. And it's like, excuse you? You were just sexist like 2 minutes ago. I don't understand her whole thing is like she wants to be an actress, and then for some reason at the end of the book she's like, actually I want to be a scientist now. And it's like, is that where this was heading the whole time? Is that what her character arc is? She wants to be an actress and now she wants to be a sexist, or I mean a scientist, because she already is a sexist. I don't understand what we're supposed to get out of her arc, why this book was made this way. So I didn't like it, and I'm so sorry that I suggested it to both of you.
Yeah, I mean, when I would read, in middle school, I wanted escapism. Like Magic Tree House and Goosebumps like were it for me. And I was excited when this story like was actually about a real alien, but it was not it wasn't executed well. It was also like, I mean, poor Peter is all I have to say. Like, he talks about how horrible his home life is, like, so often. And if I was a kid reading that, I would feel sad, like really sad for him. It's, yeah, it wasn't like just a joy to read. It wasn't the joy I wanted it to be, I will say.
I'm trying to remember, what was the teacher's name that got captured? Like her teacher. I forget her name. Well,
I almost just said a real teacher I had because I thought it was. I'll look it up while you're talking. I'll let you know.
So when she's like trapped in that, what is it, like a force field where they can hear each other's thoughts or whatever. Which, by the way, did he made that force field? Why would he allow telepathy? Because like he created it, so why not just like hold her there and not be able to communicate with anyone that maybe tries to interfere, unless he didn't care. I don't know, but
like, why freeze her at all?
It's pretty intense. It was a pretty intense capture. It seemed like I will say that. Let's talk about Duncan for a second. So he's just
okay, and it's Miss. I'm sorry, it's Ms. Schwartz. Just to let you know,
Miss Schwartz. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So Duncan, the little asshole. So he's the bully. It starts off. Does he hit Susan in the beginning?
Oh,
I think he hits her.
I think he does too.
Yeah, it says he doesn't care if you're a girl or a boy. He'll hit anything.
Yeah, he does say that.
She's talking about, because it starts with Duncan picking on Peter in the beginning, and then she like goes into a story about how she got between them once, and then he punched her in the face, and then said it was like an accident. Yeah.
Yeah, didn't he say she ran into his fist or something like that?
Yeah, it's like the classic ridiculous Simpsons gag where like Bart is like doing the windmill with his fist, and he's like, "If I'm gonna move my hands through the air, and if you just so happen to get hit, it's your fault."
Yeah. So okay, you guys got to help me out here. In the middle, when he just becomes a part of their team, all of a sudden, he's like spying. Is he like spying on them? And then I forget how he actually decides, yeah, I'm just gonna help you guys now.
Yeah, doesn't he like show up at the house?
Yeah, and he doesn't like believe them or whatever, but like I forget.
So what happens is, so Susan sees Broxholm, the teacher, Broxholm Smith, she calls him, take off the mask, and then one day at school she decides she's gonna faint, and like as she's going down, she's gonna grab his ear and try to take the mask off. And then she's like out of school for a day, and then Peter like is like something like Peter tells the class like why she did that, and then her one friend calls her and is like, "Hey, are you feeling okay?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, I'm fine. Like that wasn't really like, really anything." And then that sparks the rumor that the teacher is an alien, and then that's when Duncan gets freaked out because he knows he's the worst kid in the class and he doesn't want to get taken. So,
but what makes him
like,
believe
all right,
that?
I'm going to help you now.
Like, what, he just believes it?
Yeah, I don't know. The book needed them to believe it.
Oh. I mean, well, no, my favorite character is Mr. Smith, obviously. But,
right.
Peter,
I like the music teacher.
Oh my God.
Oh man, that man just wanted to put on a good show, and she was really messing with his plan. Like,
he's like screaming at a sixth grader for not being able to do a solo. He's like, "You need to practice harder."
Peter had a pretty good, Peter had the best. I don't even know if he had the best arc, but he had the best like
moments.
Not best moments, but just best plot line, I guess. Like, from beginning to end, he at least he got what he wanted, even though it was a weird like thing that he wanted. It was nice, but a little shocking. I was very surprised he just like snatched them and they escaped.
Yeah, I was surprised
just right
too.
into space. I wonder what they were doing up there. Like what actually, like Do you think he made friends with them, or?
So, again, I read a little bit about like the 3 books after this one, and I think they like they go to, there's this like council, I forget what the council is called, but it's like the council of the universe or something, and they want to destroy Earth or like get rid of humans or something like that. And Broxholm and Peter go on this 3-book journey about convincing this council that humans deserve a second chance. And
isn't that Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? Isn't that like the plot of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
Is it?
If memory serves. It's very similar.
It might be. I haven't seen that in so long. Oh, and that's a book, isn't it? Like a very
Oh yeah, that's
well-known
one.
book.
Yep, that's one where there's a book and a movie. Yep.
Yeah.
Very good book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I guess Peter's up there like doing his thing, having a good time. Oh, he also they fix his vision. Does he have, like when I was reading about it, it said that he didn't have glasses anymore. But do they mention that he wears glasses in this book?
Probably, but I don't remember, to be honest.
I don't
He's
remember
a
either.
nerd. He has glasses.
Right.
He's
You
a
just
nerd.
assume.
This was written in the 80s. He has glasses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, definitely. Duncan definitely smacked him off his face at least once.
Yeah. For
Oh
sure.
yeah. Duncan beat the shit out of him in the beginning of the book. Although that was another weird thing where Broxholm Smith comes up and he like breaks them up, and then Susan's like, "Wow, that guy's really strong." Like that's supposed to be a clue that he's an alien, but it's like, nah, he just broke up a couple of 6th graders.
He's just
like,
an
that's
adult.
Not that hard. Like I could do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I'm not particularly strong, but I could do that easy. I could fuck up a 6th grader if I had to.
Like, that'll be the day I question someone's, like, humanity when they just break up a fight, let alone kids. And oh, he did that little with too much power. There's something up with him. I gotta keep an eye on him. Like,
I mean, Josh, we went to the same high school. How many times did you see teachers break up fights between like 17, 16-year-old kids?
yeah, always in the
like-
cafeteria.
So they were aliens, I guess, is what we learned.
Absolutely.
Yeah, why didn't you guys question that more?
I don't know.
Actually, you know what? If anyone were to question, like, Colin, you've read this book, so when you would see that, I guess that probably
Oh, that's
triggered
true.
some memories with my teacher's an alien, right?
Oh man, I should have been on patrol. Think of how many kids got kidnapped because I didn't speak up. Oh no.
Think of how many Peters got taken.
Oh well, if it's just Peters, that's fine.
Actually, yeah, they're happy.
Name one good Peter.
Nah.
My point exactly.
But yeah,
So do we have
yeah, this stunk. It stunk.
Yeah.
Stunk bad, real bad.
Yeah, it did. And just like the finale of them all playing their instruments at him, like as the final like the hero moment, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So ridiculous.
stunk.
Terrible.
Written in the lamest way possible. It should have been a triumphant moment, and it's just lame.
It's so lame.
It's dumb and lame.
Doesn't he just like
Yeah.
run out the back door? Like that's it?
Yeah, I like how he's not defeated in the slightest. He
Yeah.
just like grabs one of the kids and leaves.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Also, why doesn't she go to the police at any point in time during this fucking book?
well, it's obvious.
Like,
they would never believe her. Come on.
Yeah, but guess what? All she has to do is say, "Hey, I saw my old teacher in my new teacher's house." And then they would have been like, "Oh, this is a regular kidnapping." And then they get there and it's like, "Oh no, this is an alien." So Susan's a dumbass because she could have just been like, "A woman is missing, and I think this guy took her." And the police would have been, and let's be honest, Miss Shorse is probably a white woman, and that's going to get a lot more attention by the police. That's just, not to get political, but let's just be honest. There are no black characters in this book. I would be shocked. They never mention race. I'd be shocked. These are the whitest people I've ever read. As an expert on white people, they are wasps to the max.
What did they say happened to Miss Schwartz? Like, why is she missing?
I think Smith like planted a note in the principal's office, and the principal's like pissed that he didn't get enough notice, and then I don't think they like specify why. It's just like she left and no one questions it.
All right, yeah, it stinks.
It does.
Yeah. It's a bunch of half-baked ideas. So, do we have anything left to say about this piece of garbage?
Nah, let's rate it.
Let's rate it, all right?
Let me just correct myself real quick. I think at the beginning, I don't know what I was thinking, but just for all the musicians out there, the piccolo is more like a flute type thing. I think there's another instrument with a straw. It's not that important, but anyway, more of a flute. Let's move on.
Piccolo's a character from Dragon Ball Z and nothing else.
You're right.
Oh yeah, I also want to make note of the fact that I don't know if you guys are aware, but I graduated with a degree in English, which is useless. But the fact that I had to read this is like an insult to 4 years and a lot of tuition I had to pay for my degree.
Like to read this as an adult.
Right, to have to read this and review it and critique it. It's such a waste of a lot of money I spent.
I'm sorry, Colin. I'm sorry.
It's all right. I picked the dumb degree. All right, so my scale is, of course, on a scale of 1 to 94.
Oh, wait, Michelle, did you have something?
Oh, sorry, Michelle.
It's an oboe. The instrument with a straw is called an oboe.
Yeah. I forgot all about that instrument.
Wait, isn't oboe Wait. I thought oboe was a string instrument.
No, it's a woodwind instrument. It's like
what?
Yeah, it's like a clarinet of sorts, but it's got this thin little straw.
How come there aren't more clarinet players in media? Like it's Squidward or nothing else.
That's true.
Wait, who plays an oboe in SpongeBob?
Oh, we'll have to watch the Band Geeks. Someone in the Band Geeks episode has to play it, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
We'll have to review Band Geeks and see who plays the oboe. We'll make a note of it.
All right, yeah, there's going to be a lot to talk about with SpongeBob. I want to talk about at least 20 episodes, so we'll...
We got a lot to discuss.
Yeah, let's just rate this piece of garbage.
Yeah, it's time.
Gut reaction, I'm going 23.
Out of 95, I'm going to go like a 26. You're welcome. You're welcome, my teachers and Alien. You're welcome. Okay.
You're welcome, Bruce Covill.
Yeah, my gut reaction was a 25 out of 97. I'll go 25 out of 97.
So that brings the average to 25.87, or rounding up 26, and that's generous. Bruce Covill, by the way, has like 1 million books. Like if you look up how many books, he's written so many books, and I'm so pissed about it.
He wrote more than 100 books. And
oh my god.
And we don't really know any of them.
What am I doing with my life? He can write 100 books.
I write 100 kids' books.
But do you want that? Do you want to be remembered by that?
I mean, he has to have made money off of it, so
I'd be
absolutely
fine with that.
Sure, but
Yeah, all right. Yeah, me too.
I'm gonna write a book. My librarian is a mummy. Boom.
oh,
$1 million idea.
Okay.
If you enjoyed talking about My Teacher is an Alien with us, please give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts, and feel free to give us a follow on our social media. You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Millennial Milkshake. We have a Twitter account at MilkBasedPod, and you can also follow us on Snapchat at MilkshakePod. And you can always listen to us anywhere podcasts are found: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, iHeartRadio, all that good stuff. And you can also follow us on our personal social media accounts. You can follow Colin on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at The Last Call spelled COL. And you can follow Michelle at Michelle Thoughts on Instagram, Thoughts the Way You Think. And you can also follow me on Instagram at Joshi_124, Joshi spelled with an IE. And thank you for joining me, guys.
Well, thank you for joining me to talk about My Teacher is an Alien.
Colin, thank you for joining me.
We'll see you guys. I don't know. We won't see you at all.
We won't see it all. And as always,
stay creamy.
Operation complete. We have made contact and was disposed of humans and dispose of them now.